Hey, time to shine today. Varsity Squad. It is Scott Ferguson. And I got myself Mr. Jerome Myers here from the Myers Development Group. This guy has forgot more about investing in multifamily than I will even care to know. And that's why I brought him on to be able to educate you and level you up within the multi-unit. I mean, this guy, his resume is sick. You need you to go to jeromemyers.co, not com.co, and just check out his story. And we're going to dig into a little bit about that as well. He focuses on buying broken apartment building businesses and using innovative thinking and solid execution strategies to optimize the operational efficiency of his business. Currently, Mr. Myers is asset manager for approximately 90 units and 90,000 square feet of office of workspace. That's some serious credentials, people. And when he's not actively working on his personal portfolio, he coaches other real estate investors on the Myers method of multifamily investings. And hang on to the end of this, because not only is Mr. Myers going to drop some serious knowledge nuggets on you about investing and leveling up your life, but also he's going to allow me to be an affiliate, which I'm going to be able to offer you his program at a pretty solid price. So, man, Jerome, come on, introduce yourself to the squad. But first, what is your favorite color?
Red.
Red. Love it because you took the red pill.
I took the red pill. I took it, man.
I love this. I've been waiting a while to get Jerome on. He was introduced to me by somebody that I care a lot for, and he's a great guy that helps a lot of people out there. And the squad has actually reached out to Jason Holzer. But Jerome, let's get into the origins, man. Let's start from maybe college forward to how you really started to get into the real estate investing, please.
Yeah, man. So sophomore year, me and my buddy Duran are sitting on the stoop and we're doing the math. I'm paying $395. I've got two roommates paying $395. Same things happening downstairs in his apartment. We multiplied it out across the complex and the man's making 700 grand a year. We never seen him and talked to him. Like, what in the world is going on here? How do you do something like this, right? So, I'm the son of a soldier and a stay-at-home mom. My dad was in the Marines, then he jumped over to the Army. We didn't have wealth discussions at the dining room table. It was just about hard work, doing good in your particular job, and then, coming back home and being a good family person. So fast forward, I run through corporate America, engineering, project management. My last role, I get the opportunity to build a $20 million division for a Fortune 550 company. Right, I'm employee number 2. We've got $0 billed. End of the year, 170 employees, $6 million in profit, 20 million top line. And the reward for that is laying folks off. Christmas Eve, Jerome, we're going into the new year. We don't need all the folks. Somebody else can pick the people who are going to continue, but I recommend that you do it because you've got to still deliver the profits at the end of next year. I promised myself I'd never do that again, but I spent Christmas to New Year's figuring out who's going to be on the team and who wasn't going to be on the team moving forward.
Oh, man.
Fast forward to Thanksgiving of the next year, I get told the same thing. Hey, we got to make some changes. And it's that at that point, I decided I was going to be a corporate America dropout. So I drop out, start knocking on the doors of banks, go to about 10 of them. They all tell me no. You don't have the appropriate experience to buy a multifamily property. I said, what do you mean, guys? I've got an engineering license. I've got an MBA. Just $20 million business. Like, surely that counts for something. They said, you haven't signed a loan on a multifamily property and executed a similar business plan. So you don't have the experience you need in order to be successful in this space. And so I started fixing and flipping houses. Scott, you might know a little bit about that.
A little bit. Yeah, man. Excellent.
So we're sitting on the stoop. The stoop's pretty important in my world. And the guy pulls up and he says, hey, man, let me check out your finishes. We're getting ready to do one down the street. I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing in that one. And sure enough, we're talking. He's like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this building. I was like, man, where? Oh, it's down in Churchill. I was like, I tried to buy that 4 or 5 months ago. They said, I'm an experienced partner. He said, well, I'm going to write an offer. And I said, please don't leave me out. Bring me in on the deal. You're the guy I've been looking for. Sure enough, he went and made that offer without me. It got rejected. He went and talked to one of my buddies who was a general contractor, said, I need you to come in on this deal with me. He said, I'm only doing that deal if Jerome's in the deal because he was talking to me about it 4 or 5 months ago. And so I got in my first deal.
Nice.
And It
How
was
many
a
units was that, Jerome?
23. It was a
23. Okay.
1.27 buy.
Okay.
Uh, bought it with average rents about 695, and we touched everything in there, Scott. We did the roofs, parking lot, siding, tuck walls out on the first floor. These are townhome style units. New baths, new kitchens, all the things. Added a bathroom on the first floor, and we get through that, finish everything, get it leased up. Now we're getting 1195 there, and for the people who do the math, that's a significant increase in the value of that
Oh my
property.
gosh, yes.
We're still holding that. But, the thing that happened though is after we closed, because I was selected as asset manager, there's a press release that came out from the brokerage company that sold us the deal. And my phone started blowing up, Scott. Guess who was calling?
Me guess the bank.
The banks were calling. I had experience. I checked the box.
Yeah.
And so I leveraged that and started buying deals here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we've been doing it ever since, man.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you something. With you went and have an engineering degree, right? So you are smart. You're, as a realtor, you're my worst nightmare because you're going to read every freaking word in the contract, right? And pick it apart. But and I say that affectionately. But what does your family think about, man? You have a degree, right? And you're going and doing the real estate investing,
You're crazy, right?
right?
Because you go to school, you go get a good job, you get married, you have two kids, and you get a white picket fence and a dog, and
There
you
you go.
do that for 40 years, and then you hope to live for 5 or 10 afterwards. And
Right.
like, what are you doing? And so it's a different story, but it goes back to taking the red pill, right?
Right.
The main for me was a documentary, and it talks about it shows you the two paths in life you can take. You can take the one that's kind of proven and steady and monotonous, or you can jump out of that thing and live life in truth and really pursue your dreams and your ambitions and make those a reality.
I love it. So with it, as a real estate investor, what do you think makes a great investor?
Consistency.
Okay. Consistency in
Without
what?
because there's a whole lot of people who get out here and they say they want to do this and they want to do that, but it's the consistency and the ability to persist through the challenges that make all the difference.
Right.
People are starting out on a endeavor or a venture. They've got these kind of loose guidelines on what they're supposed to do, but there's nobody to stand over you and say, hey, is this delivered? Did you call that person? Did you follow up on that lead? Did you do all the things that you have to do in order to deliver the result?
Sure.
It's usually based on you and your own effort, and most people aren't disciplined enough to stay consistent.
Right. They feel that that one maybe fail, and then they just, that whole right prefrontal cortex of their brain gets scared, and then they stop. Right. So what then? Let's put it this way. Like, okay, so if I'm out, you offer. Okay, how did you come to the realization that you want to start paying it forward and building a course to show others, basically to compete with you?
Yeah, well, I don't really see it as competition. I can't buy everything, right?
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, the stuff that most people are going to buy coming in, I'm not looking at anyway, right? And then when they find something that is bigger than they can take down and they need some help, guess who they're going to call, Scott?
That's right.
They'll
We're gonna
call me.
call the Myers man. So if I'm out at a networking event here in South Florida, we're allowed to do that a little bit. Go out, press some flesh. Have a couple adult beverages, and I'm talking to somebody. Who would be what kind of things would they say to me, Jerome, that would make them a good referral connection, or someone that I might want to introduce to you?
Yeah, I think the people who are going to be successful with this have some form of technical background or ran some business, right?
Hmm.
When you introduced me, you said I buy broken apartment building businesses. This isn't your traditional run of the mill where you're buying a widget, and I consider houses widgets, right?
Right.
You buy the widget, you sell the widget for a bigger profit. Here, you're buying the building, it's attached, well, you're buying the business, it's attached to real estate. That's what the bank likes to lend on, right? And
Hmm.
then you're fixing that business, right? You're increasing revenue, you're decreasing expenses. That makes it worth more. And that's when you make the equity play. The big difference between the single family and the multifamily stuff is The single family is based on the cells around you. The multifamily is based on how much money you can make the thing make. And
Okay.
so it comes,
Capitalization rate, right?
yeah, yeah, cap rate is what you divide into, but that net operating income
NOI, yeah.
is the
Okay.
difference. And so you can, it's really simple though. It's not easy, but it's simple. You either increase the income and keep the expenses the same, or you keep the income the same and decrease the expenses, or you can do the best of both worlds where you increase the income, decrease the expenses, and then you get an explosion on that net operating income. And then when you divide it by that cap rate or the capitalization rate, that's when you jump up that value. And the
Love it.
illustrative point, man, if I have something that's a 10 cap and I increase the value $100 per door per month, right? And well, let's make it $10,000 a year.
Right.
And I divide it by that 10 cap, I've increased the value of the property by 100 grand
Sure.
by increasing the income by $10,000 a year.
Right.
And so when that number gets smaller, the amount that each dollar of income is worth jumps up even more.
Wow.
That's the really powerful piece of being in a multifamily space.
Dude, that's literally the best explanation I've ever gotten for cap rates and how that can work towards the NOI, the net operating income. So I appreciate that. Hey, let's tell us about a fail. You it can't be roses across the board. Tell us about one that sticks out to you. The one that you're like, man, that you could have made right, but you made the wrong decision.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, right? I podcast called Multifamily Missteps so that people can learn about the mistakes of operators across the country because I'm tired of, rainbows and sunshine all the time, right? There are real mistakes that happen in the space. And so, my favorite mistake to talk about is when I modeled a project, because you got to put this pro forma together, right? I modeled a project. We were buying a building for $840,000. I modeled the real estate taxes in that pro forma at $1,000,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Anybody, I mean, that's what you pay on a single family home.
Right, right,
$1,000 building, right? The taxes were $10,000. And just like we talked about that cap rate being important when you're increasing the net operating income, well, imagine if you're $9,000 the wrong way in the net operating income because you made a rounding error or you left out a zero on the number that you put in the pro forma, right? And
right,
so I did that deal. There's no way that I can make up that $9,000 gap that I had in the pro forma because I'm not going to be able to increase the income by that much.
right,
And I really think there's that much in expenses that I can reduce. And so I just have to ride it out. Is it terrible? No. I mean, that property makes over $100,000 a year. So $10,000 isn't that big of a deal.
right,
But the fact of the matter is, I made that huge mistake and it could have been, if it was in a different property, it could have sunk the ship.
right. Wow. Luckily you had that little buffer there. So let's talk about the hair a little bit. I mean, he's a handsome dude if you're watching on YouTube. He looks like he's built like a brick. But like, talk about the hair because I heard a little bit of story about the hair. Like you said, you're a clean cut, little hair was on your face, was your eyebrows. Tell us about like growing out the hair and being kind of like my Samson here.
Man, Scott, I appreciate you doing your research, man. I mean, the long story short is, it was back in 2010. I was in a pretty deep hole. I didn't really like my life. And it's crazy because I would sound really ungrateful. We just closed on a 6,000 square foot house. I was in position to pretty much buy anything I wanted to buy. I thought I was pretty much killing it in my day job, right? Had a brand new, well, she was about 6 months old, my first daughter. And but I was depressed, I was miserable, and I started asking questions like, what's wrong? Why do I believe what I believe? And in that journey, in that inner self work, I realized like there's a whole lot of stuff I'm doing that I don't actually believe. I'm just doing it out of tradition. Perfect example. When somebody sneezes, what are you supposed to say?
Bless you.
Why?
Because your heart stops, right?
It
You
doesn't.
live through it. That's what I was told.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But it doesn't stop, right? That's
Right.
just the old wise tale, and people just do it. And so now, if somebody sneezes, they may think they have coronavirus, but you know,
Right.
hey, it's just these traditions and practices. And so, what I really wanted to do was get back to the core and challenge all of the stuff that I've been taught growing up. I call it programming. I got
Sure.
programmed. up, and then decide what I believed and what I didn't believe, and then utilize those things to take my life to the next level. And so, I haven't had a haircut in 10 years, man. And part of it was I told myself that I couldn't grow my hair because it wasn't appropriate. But then I started peeling back the layers and I was like, well, what isn't appropriate about it? Or why should I have to do this? And so when I couldn't find a profound reason why I needed to do that, I made the shift. And it's just an external um, signal to people that I meet that I'm defining the world in my own terms, and I'm going to live in that way.
Your pops being a Marine, what do you think about
One day he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm growing my hair," and he just kind of looked at me. And what was crazy though is he's got a lot of rebellion in him too, and so
it?
those years where he couldn't grow a beard. Now he's got this great beard that he's grown out. And so,
Right.
at the end of the day, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, they told me for 20 plus years that I couldn't grow a beard. I'm
Sure.
growing a beard now."
I love it, man. So, hey, mind if I ask your age?
37.
Okay, 37. So you'll remember who Marty McFly is, right? Back to
Yeah.
the Future. Okay, so let's get in the DeLorean, right? Let's go back to the 22-year-old Jerome. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on him with the wisdom you have now that will help him maybe shorten his learning curve and level up a little quicker?
First thing, get aggressive on coaching, right? If every athlete has a coach, but if it's not about athletics, it's about performing at the highest level that you can absolutely perform at.
Right.
Right. And so get locked in with the coach, make the investment, because that will speed up your curve so much more than whatever it will cost in cash today.
Love it.
That's the exponential return on investment if you've got the right person and you're willing to actually follow the guidance. I think the second thing I would say is go to multifamily now. Right. I was playing around with corporate America. I was playing around with houses and, making sure that I had a nice home and cars and all this other stuff when I should have been investing in income producing assets so that it would be able to buy my freedom sooner.
Love that. Love it. And he would probably listen too. It's like a lot of times a 22-year-old, they're like, just go for it, which is fine advice. But you're just like, get aggressive on coaching, man. Hire a coach. I'm almost 50, and I hired my first one at 25. And it's made all the difference. I've had one, even when I lost everything in 07, 08, 09, I still had a coach. I still made a way to find it because he helped me through it. So we talk a lot about the dash here, Jerome, and I want to know how you want your dash remembered. That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life and death date. How do you want that remembered? Maybe your life legacy or your epitaph. How do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I want to be remembered as a lover of people, right? When we look around the world and all the stuff that's happening, I think love fixes it all. You want to be able to handle people with grace. You want to be able to handle people with mercy. And I think those things in and of themselves fix the vast majority of the problems in the world. And so if I can be a living example of that and encourage other people to do it, I think my time here will be well spent.
Love it. Love it. That's fantastic. So when someone comes to Jerome for to learn how to level up and get involved in the multifamily world, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
What do I have to do in order to be successful?
Okay.
Right. Everybody comes in thinking, oh, well, success is guaranteed. And if I just write this check or if I do this one thing, then it's going to happen. And that's not true. It's a bunch of stacking. There's a bunch of maneuvering. There's a bunch of steps forward and two steps back in order to
Sure.
get to what you got to get to. And they don't
Love
actually
it.
ask the question.
So what is the BIG, the big thing that Jerome wants to accomplish, before, you draw that last breath?
I want to free 100 people from work they're not passionate about through multifamily investing.
It's 100 people minimum?
That's the minimum.
Got it. Love it, man. So what are three things, or let's say person, places, or things, three things that Jerome can't live
Oh, my kids.
Okay.
One, My lady's number 2 and travel's number 3.
Love it. I was asked, what 3 things I would take to the Mars if I was the first colony. I was like, 1, my lady, Susan. 2, my dog Stitch, and, my fur babies, all my fur babies. And 3 would be chicken wings, because I'm a snob, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I need a good chicken wing. So I got to take those 3. But, hey, so what is your definition of a life well lived then, Jerome?
Significant, right? It's your ability to positively impact the lives of the people around you. That's opening doors for them. It's creating opportunities. It's just helping them through tough spots. Like, that's the game.
Fantastic, man. I love that. I love it. Total go-giver. Appreciate that. So as we wind things down here a little bit, Jerome, we like to do what's called a leveling up lightning round. 5 or 6 questions I'm going to ask you. You and I could talk 15, 20 minutes on each one of them, but you got 5 seconds, no explanations. You ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Your dreams should be real.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Running 6 miles in the morning.
Wow. Awesome. That's crazy. So not what you're reading now, not the flavor of the month you see out there. What is the one book that if I was to be like, man, Jerome, I'm not feeling it, and be like, Fergie, here, read this.
Your dreams should be real.
That's a book?
It is.
Okay. Who's that by?
Me.
Is it really? Well, man,
Yeah.
that'll be in the show notes, people. Awesome. So what's the most commonly used emoji when you text?
Upside down smiley face.
Upside down smiley face. Not wisdom wise, but age wise, like physical wise. What age would you be for the rest of your life?
I think I'd be 37.
37. Okay. That was a great age too. It's just, what? The market crashed when I was like 37, 38. So my mind was elsewhere. Like I always look back to 32 because that's when I was the most energetic and whatnot. But so what is your favorite organization or charity you like to give your time and or money to?
Yeah, so my alma mater, North Carolina A&T State University, we set up a full scholarship for engineering student there.
Awesome.
So we like to
Fantastic.
continue to sow into that.
Awesome. And last question, it's a little bit harder, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Gotta go with the 90s.
90s, all right. Yeah, such great transitional decade, man. Fantastic. So how can we find you, Jerome?
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more about multifamily investing specifically, jump over to myersmethods.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm the only Jerome Myers in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Gotcha. So it's myersmethods.com. And folks, I'm going to, again, like I talked about earlier, I'm going to set up as an affiliate with Mr. Jerome here to be able to, because I believe in what he's doing, and he's actually genuine. He's a total go-giver, wanting to impact lives. So, Jerome, leave us with one last knowledge nugget that you want us to take, the squad to take with them, internalize, and take action on.
Yeah, for me, I'll go back to the nugget I was given. Your dreams should be real. And if you haven't heard that before, now you're accountable for it. So whatever that dream is that you put on the shelf and you let the world tell you shouldn't have, you got to pull that thing down and make it a reality. There's somebody that you haven't met that's counting on you to do what's been put on your heart so that they can go do their thing. And so please don't let them down because the world's counting on you.
Love it, man. And squad, I don't know about you, but I just got a free FREE masterclass. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the notes that I'm taking is just outrageous. I do one day want to sit on the stoop. I want to be invited to the stoop with Jerome and whatnot. But this guy has a persistence that doesn't recognize failure, consistent and persistent that didn't recognize failure. He took the red pill. He got that 23 unit building. He had it at 16,000 and he pushed it up to 27,485. That is amazing what he did to really turn that building around. He wants to be able to guide you so you don't have the multifamily missteps. Get out of your tradition, man. If it's not fitting you and it's not fitting what you're feeling, then get out of it. Like Jerome did, he grew his hair out. He feels comfortable. He feels present. He feels in demand. Get aggressive about hiring a coach. I cannot say that enough. You know, he's a lover of people, and he handles people with grace and mercy. You know, he would want you to ask yourself, what do you have to do to be successful? And when you're asking yourself that, remember that Jerome is out there wanting to free 100 people of mediocrity and have them level up. He wants to be significant and impact lives, and his dream should be real. And my man, thank you for coming on, Jerome, onto the Time to Shine Today podcast. You're fantastic. You level up your health. You level up your wealth. You're a go-giver. You're part of our squad now, man, so you can't go anywhere.
This is awesome, Scott. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Talk soon.
All right.